All right, ladies and gentlemen, here in studio with us, and I confess, I was invited today to be in Washington um, with the women marching on Congress, and I told them I could not be there because
Yeah.
as a millennial, I'm a Marvel head. You're supposed to laugh when I say I'm a
Yeah.
millennial because
Yeah.
obviously I'm
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
But I am a Marvel head, and I'm a big Daredevil fan. And the Daredevil is sitting right here next to me, and oh my God, I'm tripping. Charlie Cox is here. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
Good to see you, man.
You got your priorities right.
Yeah,
There,
I sure
right?
do. I sure do. Season 3,
Yep.
and you binge on all of this stuff, and it all starts running together. And I was just asking Charles, be sure to refresh my memory because we all saw the Defenders, and the last time we saw the Defenders, you were in collapsing in a building
That's right. Yeah.
with your girlfriend or would-be girlfriend, whatever. It's complicated,
Yeah.
right?
It's complicated.
That's the best way to say it. Electra. So we get to find out where you are and what happened.
Right. Well, there was a little teaser scene at the end of the Defenders,
Right.
which people may have caught, which was Matt Murdock in a bed recovering.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And which so that teased the idea at least that he survived the collapse of the building.
Yeah, yeah.
But now we get to discover the extent of his injuries and everything that happens moving forward.
And then also, I just finished watching Iron Fist,
Right.
latest season, and Danny's saying, Daredevil. Matt told me to defend the city,
Right.
in his absence. So he's still not around. Where's the Daredevil? So we get to see the Daredevil again. So we looking forward to an exciting season 3. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
You enjoying this?
I am, yeah. This is like we're just starting. The show comes out in a couple of weeks. We're just starting the press for it, and I'm really proud of the season. I'm really excited for fans to see it. There's a couple of the scenes or sequences in particular that I'm really excited about, and I haven't seen any of it yet. Just what you guys have seen, the trailer and stuff. So
yeah.
I'm buzzed.
It doesn't look like there is a stunt person at all that you're faking. I mean, you stay in pretty good shape for this role and work out and make all the moves, don't you?
I do a lot of it. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I love getting stuck in. I love doing as much as they let me do. I do have an amazing stunt double
Okay.
who does the things that either I'm not capable of or that I'm not legally allowed to attempt, even if I would.
Right.
But yeah, no, that I think we pride ourselves on being from a stunt perspective being as practical as possible, and obviously that means that I have to do a lot of it.
But did you have to do like some martial arts training to prepare for this? Okay.
Yeah, and have been for the last 4 years since
Is
we've
that
been
right?
making the show.
Yeah. So did you start that training before being cast, or
No.
was that something you were always interested
Yeah.
in? Oh, really?
I got the job when I first got this job. It was we started filming in 4 to 6 weeks or something, so it was catch up. And so in the early part of season 1, there was a lot of the sequences I wanted to do, I just couldn't do it.
Uh-huh.
But as time has passed and as I've worked with the stunt team and I've trained, I've got better at it. And so now I can do a lot of it, and that's really nice for me to have come that far.
It also would seem to me too, as an actor, it takes a great amount of discipline to play someone who's sight impaired, who's blind.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. Is that challenging?
It really is challenging, and it's challenging for lots of reasons that I didn't expect. For example, it's one thing to kind of orchestrate your eye line so that you appear to be blind to the person you're talking to.
Right.
It's another thing to get that right on camera, because often the camera is positioned differently. So for me, I still feel like I have to stay on top of that.
Yeah.
That hasn't necessarily got much easier. I have to be really vigilant with that.
But I think what it also is, I know for me, and maybe this is what you mean, and what all of you mean who put this together, it creates a certain amount of empathy, at least, or affinity for those who are sight impaired. We have to think about what they're dealing with, and then they have a superhero.
Yeah.
We talk about diversity in in not just the Marvel universe, but in the superhero universe. I mean, what other challenged, so to speak, superhero is there?
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
one of the, and one of the amazing byproducts that's come out of me getting this job is that is to meet people who are visually impaired or have grown up with any sort of disability, or disadvantage, and to learn how Daredevil is one of the characters that inspires people who've Daredevil, has grown up with a disability. He's overcome that adversity, and he's thriving, and not thriving despite, but thriving by using his disability.
That's my point. Yeah,
and I think that can be tremendously encouraging.
I mean, I had a mentor who was visually impaired, and they say when one of the five senses is gone, particularly sight, the other senses are strengthened.
Right.
And I saw that in real effect.
Yeah.
And with this individual, he was Dr. John Henry Clark. He was an outstanding professor. We always thought that the other part of his body that became more heightened was literally his brain.
Right.
He was just a genius.
Yeah.
And so you see that, and Daredevil portrays that.
Yeah, and when I was working with a visually impaired coach, a gentleman who he himself is visually impaired, and there was one day where I was blindfolded. We were walking down the street together. He's totally blind, and he stopped me and said, "I think you just slow down for a second. I think you might be about to walk into a wall." And I took off my blindfold, and he was right, and he figured that out from the echolocation, like the vibrations of the sounds of the traffic had changed for him, and he knew that there was that was mind blowing to me.
Well, that's how Dr. Clark used to do us. I'd come visit him in New York, and he wanted me to take him to someplace to eat. I pick him up in home, Charlie. He'd sit next to me in the car, and we drive down the street, and he'd say, "Make a right here." I said, "Whoa. How do you know?" But he had just that sense of his own of his own community. But I think that's the big point too, because the other thing I enjoy about the show is the other senses that are in play, and it makes you wonder, maybe we don't use all of our other senses, those of us who see,
right?
Because there's more than one way to see other than just with our eyes.
Yeah.
So Vincent D'Onofrio is back in this, your nemesis. Are we going to see or hear any more about the complicated relationship with Elektra, or
we're not going to touch much on that this season.
Okay.
That this season is kind of we kind of go back a little bit to our roots. It's more in keeping with what we did in season 1. So there's there are certain characters in the Daredevil universe that kind of have a mythological element, and we explored that a lot in season 2. This season goes back to kind of like more of a crime drama, with less mythology, and it's more down and dirty in Hell's Kitchen. Wilson Fisk is getting out of prison, and obviously Matt Murdock is recuperating from everything that happened to him, and then fireworks.
How did you originally get involved in this?
I auditioned. I auditioned and then auditioned again, and then had a screen test, and then waited a number of months, and it was a full on process.
Were you in the comic books or
No.
characters? Not at all.
Not at all growing up. No.
Well, I guess you're from London.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in Europe, are they followed as closely? Is Daredevil?
I don't think as closely, but they're but when now that I'm part of this world, and obviously I've read a huge amount of comics in the last 4 years since I've been involved, but you learn. A lot of friends that I had have kind of come out the woodwork and been like, "Oh, dude, I've been collecting comics my whole life. I'm a huge fan of this character or that character," and that I had no idea about. So they are widely read across the world, but probably not quite as big as in America.
What do you think about just even the franchise? I mean, to me, it's just become incredible, no pun intended. the nature of the Marvel franchise. I mean, this has become its own thing, unlike anything else.
Yeah, I think the thing that continues to surprise me and a lot of people is the appetite for it, and it's continually growing. There's clearly a massive appetite for these kind of stories, and to be fair, they're doing them right. They make amazing films and TV shows. I mean, I find them so entertaining, regardless of whether I enjoy the superhero element or not. But there's based on the how well these films do and these TV shows do, there's clearly a huge amount of people who just can't get enough of it, which is great.
Of course, he's also known the Devil of Hell's Kitchen. That's where he hails. But now being here in the United States now, I know that the story is supposed to be fictional, but do you find any reality in being here, seeing what New York and Hell's Kitchen is really like? Do you see any parallel between what's real like today, just right outside of here? Hell's Kitchen is right over there if you look out that window, and the Hell's Kitchen in Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, when Daredevil was conceived in the 60s, Hell's Kitchen was a very different place, and a very dangerous place, from what I'm led to believe. And Hell's Kitchen today has lovely coffee shops and restaurants and bars, and there's not so much underground. Right. Yeah, there's not so much underground crime as it was, as was written in those early comics. So, in order to kind of like make our show work, there was an interesting device that was invented in the first season, which was that the whole of Hell's Kitchen had been destroyed by an Avenger fight, and then in the rebuild, the gangs had got in and wreaked havoc, and there was a lot of crime going on. So that's our kind of invention, to explain why someone like Daredevil is needed at this time, because the show is set in modern day. But I think in superhero characters, superhero shows, and movies, the heroes and villains are metaphors for daily life, and the people that we define as villainous, or the people that we kind of decide to embrace as heroes, whether they be in sports or politics or whatever it is. Our show is a metaphor for all of those lifelike situations. And so
speaking of lifelike, are there any similarities between Charlie Cox and Matt Murdock?
Yeah,
really?
I mean, similarities and differences. One of the things I wanted to do with Daredevil when I got the part was in recognition that he's ultimately a superhero, and therefore ultimately what he does will hopefully unfold into goodness, and his moral compass is set correctly, and all of those things. Bearing that in mind, I wanted to explore the darker sides of Matt Murdock as well, so that we made him a real human being, so that he wasn't just a force for good with no defects. So I love the scenes where I get to play with Matt's, his temper, or where, sometimes we talk about Matt Murdock when he goes out as Daredevil, he takes it too far. And he can't, he doesn't always know when to stop. And those little attributes that I think as humans we relate to, I think actually help us to identify with him on a more real level than if he was just good the whole time. No, that makes sense. Any other projects you working on? What else are you looking at? Nothing at the moment. I have a film that just came out in London called that I did with Michael Caine, which was a blast for me. Called King of Thieves. It's about a true story about a bank, a vault heist, a diamond heist that took place in London just a couple of years ago. So I worked on that last year, and that's coming out. So that's been really fun doing the press for that. And now back starting the press for this show, which obviously is very, very, has now been 4 years of my life. It's become very, very dear to me and very close to my heart, and I'm really proud of our season, and so I'm very hopeful that the fans are going to like it.
So he said he loves it, it's close to his heart, so we can look forward to more Daredevil for a few years to come, I hope.
I hope so. That decision is out of my hands, but if enough people watch it,
I don't see why not. And it's so plentiful, because it's one thing to get a major feature film once every 2 or 3 years,
right,
like the others, but to just be able to binge for a whole season.
Yeah.
Do you binge?
I do. I'm an amateur binger. I'm kind of maintaining my amateur binging status so I can binge in the Olympics, kind of thing, if you know what I mean.
Okay. But I like to pace it out too, because I don't like to drink it all up and then I'm left with withdrawal.
Yeah.
So I was people go home over the weekend and watch the whole season.
No, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I have a baby as well, man. Like, as soon as it hits, I got a little 2-year-old. As soon as it hits like 10:30, I stop, and I know she's up at 5:30. I start panicking.
Yeah, but I like to leave a little just to look forward to, pace it out a little bit, because if you use it all up, then you have to literally wait a whole nother year.
Or more sometimes.
Yeah, more.
Yeah. It's been 2 years since Daredevil.
So tell me, man, and I always ask you guys from across the pond, as we say, what is it about you guys and acting and British actors? What is it, the secret to you all? There's something about you. I don't know what it is. And the reason I need to know, and the audience knows this. So I the reason Idris dropped out of James Bond contention is because I intend to be the first black James Bond.
Great.
And he felt threatened.
Okay, I understand.
But
that makes sense. Suddenly, it's all clicking in my head.
So, but I admit, I still don't know what the secret is. I still got to get across the finish line. So what is the secret to?
I have no idea. I think, do you know what? I think that I think I'm one of the lucky British actors who's piggybacking off the great success of a few actors who are slightly older than I am, or similar ages, but like who had massive franchise success like 5-10 years ago, like Orlando Bloom, like Robert Pattinson, like Daniel Radcliffe. You know, and those are Brits who have kind of arguably some of the most successful British actors of the last 20-30 years in terms of their popularity and fame and all those kind of things, and as a result, British actors have been very, you know, in vogue, I guess would be an expression. That I think I'm just one of the lucky guys who's kind of around at that time. And what's surprising to me is how many Brits end up playing American superheroes. That's wild to me. That's an unusual number. Of you know, I'm thinking.
Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. My only, if I had to guess, because if you think about it, there's been Andrew Garfield, Tom Hiddleston, Christian Bale, Henry Cavill, myself, Finn Jones. There's more as well. I kind of not even thinking Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, there's so many of us. The only guess I would have is that Brits tend to be by nature a little less earnest. You know, we kind of sometimes we come across as less friendly initially, and I think if you put that in a superhero costume, it becomes quite interesting. That may sound like an abstract, bizarre thing to say, but I don't know if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
And so maybe that's part of it, or we're just lucky, man. I don't know. But I tell you what, I'm very grateful.
Benedict was he in 12 Years a Slave? Did he?
I think he was.
Who did 12 Years a Slave? Do you remember? It was British, and I forget who it was. But
I think he was in it. I think he may have been in it. Yeah.
But I mean, there was several British.
But you're not
actors.
thinking about Chiwetel. Obviously, was the lead.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about even the white actors.
Yeah.
And so, but some of the white actors were British.
Yes,
that's my point.
Michael Fassbender was in
Fassbender.
That's what
I'm trying.
Oh,
to
you're
think
thinking Fassbender. Okay.
The argument was made in that case because slavery happened here in America. Someone who was not an American could play the role in a more detached way and maybe even make it more real.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
And there was an argument that was made, like I said, because the argument was made that some whites here in America, it's still too close. It's a very uncomfortable place to be in and reckon with. But if you're somewhat detached from it, okay, I can just go in and play the role full on. That's the name I was trying to think of, Fassbender. So
he's great.
Yeah. So that was one thing that was said.
Yeah,
in that
that's
regard.
Interesting. Yeah.
So
yeah.
you know, I don't know, but listen, man. Feel free. I hope I can reach out to you and coach me. I definitely want to do 007.
Yeah, I think you think I can do it. You can see it. You can see it, can't you? I have to say, I also think Idris would be amazing in that role. But
I'd be better.
You'd probably be better.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think I did. Good to see you, man.
Thank you so much.
Good luck with everything.
Would you do a British accent, or would you just go?
Yeah, but I'm not there. I'd have to practice that.
Okay.
I'd have to practice that. Charlie Cox with us, folks. Season 3 of Daredevil. Be sure to check it out. I know you will anyway, because we follow all. I'm caught up on everything. A total marvel hit. I love it. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you. All right. Take care.